Do not let the Philadelphia 76ers get hot. This team has now won 4 games in a row and done it in some pretty impressive victories with some guys stepping up that you would not expect. We're about to dive into why this season may have fully turned on its head, and all the talks about tanking and throwing this season down the drain should be entirely out the window. So this is now 4 straight wins for the Sixers team. It did feel like this season was on life support, and boy, that heart is beaten again. So they just took down the Kings. Once again, their 4th consecutive win, all of those coming without Joel Embiid, and 2 of them coming without Paul George. And me and Ryan are here to break it down. So, Ryan, after tonight's victory, after this recent stretch of strong play, your number one impression is what?
Yeah, obviously this season has been a season that has been highlighted and headlined by injuries, whether it's been Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey missing time, Jared McCain, obviously, Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond, the list goes on and on. So other guys have had to step up, and the Sixers have, I think, found 2 really at least solid role players for not only just this season, but going forward, and Ricky Council and Justin Edwards. And you
Yeah.
talked about it last night. Edwards went from last month not even playing, finding himself on the court, to now being in the starting lineup, probably not for the long term this year, but playing pretty good, pretty damn good basketball. Rookie Council the last 2 nights off the bench, 13 points tonight, 16 points last night. Energy, still taking a couple crazy shots every once in a while, but you give and take with that, with all the effort that he gives. But the unsung kind of heroes and the lower paid guys kind of on the totem pole have been stepping up and contributed to this 4 game win streak. And they got the Nuggets on Friday night as well to make it 5. And I think that's a game that the Sixers are going to come out pissed off and motivated just because of everything that we've seen in the past week. I think is all kind of transpired from that Nick Nurse kind of post game speech against the Nuggets.
Yeah, and I have no intel here. This is not me reporting anything, but I think we see the big fella back on the floor on Friday. He went through the most extensive workout that we've seen from him, literally working out on the court until right before tip-off. Like, the team was coming out.
Handstands too.
Yeah, exactly there. So I'm optimistic that that could be the case, that we see him and we start to see this team take the full force. But you're absolutely right. Shout out to Justin Edwards in particular, man. That guy going from just being a full-time G League player to guarding LeBron James in the span of a month is a pretty insane kind of path that his career has taken there. But the dude's delivering. He's fearless, man. He's stepping up and making the moment. And to be honest, my brain went the exact opposite direction for tonight's game. Shout out to the old guys, man. We're talking about Kyle Lowry knocking down 3-pointers, him with 8 assists, his most all season, most since last year. And I frankly think that was really impactful with the rate that they were throwing double teams and triple teams at Tyrese Maxey. A lot of zone defense by this Kings team. And then Eric Gordon, man. I thought this guy was absolutely cooked, but it was just the wisdom teeth bogging him down. And shout out to NBC Sports for this graphic here, that before he got his wisdom tooth surgery, in the 19 games, he was averaging 5 points per game, shooting 36% from the field, 27.5% from 3. In the 15 games since, 9.4 points per game, 48.9% from the field, 49.3% from beyond the three-point arc. That comes down to 2.3 made three-pointers per game. Also a nice touch in the non-smile and the smile on the two sides of this graphic here. But the thing that I'll say about Gordon, he was the guy that I was really looking at as kind of the lost cause of the season. What I mean by that is when you are constructing a contender, that you kind of have these veteran mercenaries, these guys that are willing to take these low-value contracts with the intention of contending for a championship. I thought Eric Gordon was lost, man. I thought this was a guy who, he wasn't in it anymore, and I would have understood it, to be completely honest. So we have not seen Joel Embiid. We have not seen enough consistent minutes with Paul George. This core as is constructed, well, Eric Gordon and the version that they believed that this team signed is still in there. And that one 3-pointer he hit, he was 3 for 4 from the floor tonight. He hit one from straight the logo and shoots it as confident as ever. That's going to be a real deal factor in this offense, just in regards to spacing the floor, creating lanes for others. We're still seeing the effects of it with Tyrese Maxey, and I don't think it's coincidental that Nick Nurse is intentionally kind of pairing their minutes and having them on the floor together. To Gordon's credit, he's been better defensively as well, but I can't wait to see that next to Joel as well. So what are you seeing from those old guys and wherever else you want to take this?
Yeah, it's kind of just goes back to what I said at the beginning, where it's really impressive how both we were having youth and some guys that are definitely past their prime and their best playing days, but guys are stepping up, and
Yeah.
that's what it sounds cliche, but that's what a team does. That's what a team has to do. In the wake of your high profile players being out, you need these other guys to step up. And shout out to Kyle Lowry as well. They said it on the broadcast, but with this one 3-pointer tonight, that he moved into 13th all time in NBA history
Crazy.
for most made 3-pointers. So that was a stat that boggled my mind a little bit. But for Tyrese Maxey as well, over this past, I think since January 6th, I want to say he's been averaging a little north of 31 points per game. for how awesome he's played. And he talked about it in the post-game press conference or the on-court interview a little bit after. He said he's been trying to get the most out of his teammates, and he certainly has, whether it's 20 and 21-year-olds and Ricky Council and Justin Edwards, or 35, 36-year-olds, whatever they are, Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry. It's cool kind of see everyone playing really well at the same time. And now it's, can you insert the main piece of the puzzle into the mix and see where you go from there?
Yeah, and obviously a lot will change when Joel Embiid returns to the floor. But I know I kind of harped on this after last night's win, but I do think it's really important to note like the change in personality for Maxey on the floor. He's playing with so much more joy than we saw him. And now, granted, it's not like I want the guy to be happy when the team is losing. You should want them to feel something, be angry, whatever the way that you want to put it. But I don't think it was quite centered in the way that is, useful to turning a season around. That's the version of Tyrese Maxey we saw today. I saw him clapping up teammates, getting guys, lifting people up. And that's what you look for in your star player and a guy that's really developing into the leader of this team. For all the critiques that are completely fair about Joel Embiid and, him not being available, his leadership style or non-existent leadership style being an issue with this team, Maxey's going to have to be the guy to carry that torch. And I'm starting to see the signs of that, of him actually being a guy that wants to be like a leader on this team, beyond just the face of the franchise, scoring 30 points a game. I mean stuff like rallying teammates. And that's what really stood out to me as well. So shout out to Tyrese, man. He really is everything we could have hoped for and more. His 12th consecutive game with 28 plus points. Really impressive stuff there. And now the whole outlook of the season, I do think changes kind of notably here. It will be interesting to see if Joel Embiid steps on the floor, but to take a peek at these standings there, they're still creeping, still just one spot behind that last play-in tournament. And frankly, I think there's room to grow beyond that. We're still talking about a lot of basketball left to be played. So, Ryan, are you officially ready to bury the conversation about tanking the season or talking draft picks and kind of buy back into this team?
Yeah, quick on Tyrese as well. Shout out to his family. I believe he shouted out his parents last night in the press conference, but he basically said, like, my family even said, and good shout for you as well on this, Sean, but you were basically saying, like, he looks like he's not having fun out there. And Tyrese said, my parents said basically, you don't look happy either going out there and playing it. And that's where you were kind of were at your best when you're out there being yourself. So shout out to them for that. But yeah, just a week ago as well, they were, I believe, 4 games out of that playing spot now. You're right there. And as we said, potentially Embiid on the return, a return on the horizon. But that's where, like, I draw the line. Like, I want to see him out there for an extended period. Can we get, a 7 game stretch where he plays at least 5 of those, at least 6 of those? Like,
Would be nice.
that's where I can that's where I can officially get my hopes up and talk myself into, all right, maybe they can make a run. And you look at the teams even in front of them, like the Heat with the Jimmy Butler saga, like if Jimmy Butler does get moved or whatever, we know obviously he's not playing right now, but he could have definitely fall down the standings. The Pistons have been up and down because that's a young squad. The Bulls, the Hawks, they're 2 teams that are kind of in no man's land. Jalen Johnson just got ruled out for the
Yeah.
season today. So other teams are going to go through ups and downs, trials and tribulations as well. And you still have what? A little under 40 games left to play. There's still a lot of basketball to be played. But I'm just not going to get my head over heels excited again about this team until I could see Embiid put together, as I said, like an 8 game stretch. Give me 6 of them. Give me at least 5 of them, and then I can at least put my head straight and be like, all right, I can buy back in on this team.
Yeah, I hear you. Totally fair outlook there. And to bring it back to Tyrese real quick, I know I've told this story before, but in regards to his family, so back when I did have the chance to be the on-beat reporter, going to games, doing all the press conference type stuff, did build up a decent relationship with Maxey and his family who are constantly around the team. Went to Maxey's a Thanksgiving event, which was donating turkeys, and I do think this kind of tells the story of Tyrese Maxey. So I was sitting there and talking with his parents. His dad is Tyrone, his mom is Denise, which is why he is Tyrese, is how he got his name there. But I told his mom the story that I'm just like, and like seriously, like everything aside here, he straight up is completely one of like the nicest guys to deal with on a professional level, completely respectful, always gives you the time, all that. And his mom turned right back, looked at me and just went, he better be. And like that to me kind of told the story of like, okay, that's how this guy was raised. And I think we see that. I mean, we saw him sitting courtside there tonight. So I do think it's important that Maxey kind of has that support system around him. And I think it probably is the evidence of them being valuable and him kind of turning this season around. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey, man. He's taken a lot of slack this season and been put in a pretty impossible situation, but he has been the driving force on kind of playing their way out of it. So shout out to him. Shout out to the Sixers team. And any final words on this game or the outlook from here before we sign off, Ryan?
Yeah, I guess one final thought on Tyrese. Like, you have to keep in mind as well. I don't know his exact age, but somewhere in that 23, 24 range,
24.
just like us. Like
Yeah.
we still rely on our parents, and we're in much different roles than, a professional athlete making north of $40 million a year. Like you still got to remember at times there's a lot of pressure on a kid, especially playing in a city like Philadelphia. So shout out to his parents. If he needs that kick in the ass every once in a while, please continue to give to him because it seems like it's working, and keep it rolling. As I said at the beginning, going for 5 in a row on Friday night and a motivated team. I think that was an embarrassing effort against the Nuggets last time, but maybe it was a game that turned the tides in the fortune of the season. Mark Jackson even was saying in the post game, like, this was a team last week that they were like, all right, guys, we got to get our act together. Some of us like might lose our jobs, whether we're getting released, whether we're getting shipped off to somewhere else. Like if we want to be here and we want to make something of ourselves in this 2024-25 season, it's go time now. And here we are, 4 wins in a row later, looking to make it 5 on Friday night against Denver.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And there was one more quote from Kelly Oubre that he said after last night's game that I think kind of tells the story. And it's as funny as it is. They asked Kelly, like, what changed within the locker room within you guys? And he just said, we decided we're sick of getting our ass kicked. And that's kind of the story with this team is it's all internal. It's all you guys getting up, playing your best basketball. These have been self-inflicted losses for the most part. This has not been that other teams are straight up better than the Sixers. They've allowed themselves to get beaten far too often. So we're finally seeing signs of the team that we expected to be the case from start to finish this season. Still a lot to dig themselves out on the year. They got to find a way to keep adding up wins, but got to capitalize when they're there, and they have done so 4 nights in a row. So 4 games, hopefully back in action on Friday with another one there. We will see if there's any update on the status of the big fella there, but appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning into this video here. Drop your comments below and give me a 1 to 10 for how back are you on this Sixers team. Drop those thoughts. As always, appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure to smash that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on this video here. Me and Ryan will be back talking with you next time. Peace.